Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. My name is Kai Watson and this is episode 6 of 5 players Rangers could sign. This week we're looking at the Eliteserien, which is the top flight in Norway. And again, in today's video, with a lot of help from Football Norway on Twitter, so a massive thank you to Anchor. You can find their link in the description below. Please check them out if you're interested in anything involving Norwegian football. The first player we're going to look at today is Jaff Ser Larson, 23-year-old Danish centre-half who plays for SK Brann. Transfer market have him valued at 1.9 million. The first thing you might notice there is that he's 5'10". Again, it's normally quite small for a centre back, but doesn't really affect him in how he plays. So let's look into some of his key stats. In 24 appearances, he has 7 clean sheets, 89% pass accuracy. Again, I always speak about this when talking about centre halves coming to Rangers. You really need that high pass accuracy because he'll be on the ball quite a lot. 54% long ball accuracy, 3.4 successful attempts per game. Again, it's the kind of numbers that we want, the numbers you're looking for the likes of Goldson, who always goes for that direct ball over the top, the type of thing that Clement's kind of implemented into his play style. It does look to play that kind of intricate football at the top, but also does like to go direct every now and then. So you need your centre halves to be able to kind of play those passes. 1.5 interceptions per game, 1.4 tackles, 6.5 recoveries. Can I tell you how well he reads the game? 61% ground duels 1 and 3 per game, and again 53% aerial duels 1, 2.2 kind of wins per game. So it shows that the 5'10" kind of frame doesn't really affect his ability to win the ball in there. Just looking at Anchor's notes on Ser Larson, so he's very calm on the ball, he's strong and very quick. Also has good vision, he's really good on the ball. He says sometimes he does take a bit too long on the ball, which again could be a problem, but it's something that can be worked on. There's not always the kind of high pressing from strikers and Scottish football towards the centre halves. But he does say that he very rarely stresses on the ball and he is, again, like I said, very calm and composed. Also very disciplined, doesn't dive into tackles. He did kind of say his overall play style reminds him of Van Dijk. He's obviously not as big in stature, but he says the way he plays the game is very similar to the Dutch international, which is obviously a good sign for Rangers. You can't really turn down any player of that quality or any player that has similarities to a player that's played at that level. I think looking at Ser Larson again, he is calm in the ball. He's the type of player that Rangers really need at centre back. You're going to have a lot of usage. Again, you look at how much kind of John Souttar has the ball and likes to drive forward. I think Ser Larson's very much in that vein and could be a really decent addition. The next player we're going to look at is a young left back. So Vetle Wale is a 19-year-old Norwegian left back, 5'8", plays with Sandefjord. Transfer market having valued at 1.8 million. Looking at some of his key stats, in 24 appearances this season, 1 goal and 3 assists, 1.2 key passes per game, shows he does like to create and gets the chance to bomb up and down the line. 7 clean sheets shows he's part of a very solid defence. 7 clean sheets in 24s, nothing to kind of turn your nose up at. 76% pass accuracy, 61% dribble success, and just under 1 per game. Also foul 1.1 times per game. I always say this when talking about dribble success that percentage doesn't take into consideration how many times the player's fouled. 1.7 interceptions kind of shows a very strong reading of the game alongside the just under 7 recoveries. Shows that he reads the game very well, likes to kind of pick off passes, likes to get to the ball before the winger has a chance to even get to it. Just under 3 tackles per game is also very high, so it shows that when he doesn't get to the ball before, he also is very quick at getting the tackles in. 60% ground duels won, 4.7 per game. His defensive numbers are really excellent, and that also goes alongside just under 50% in the aerial duels won and 1.2 per game. Again, referring to the notes I got from Anchor, he kind of spoke about how vital that Igeli was in Sandefjord's attempt to stay up. There was also another player on the list that was also vital with that, but we'll mention him later on. He's on to say how it's very difficult to beat one-on-one. Like I said, the defensive stats are absolutely brilliant, loads of successful tackles. Says he has a brilliant work rate, loves to bomb up and down the line, hates losing the ball, which you can kind of tell by those recovery and high tackling stats. He does, despite the 1.2 key passes per game not seeming a lot, he says he does create a lot going forward. So he's good defensively. Well, he's actually brilliant defensively looking at the numbers. Good going forward, could always improve that part of his game. Again, he's only 19, the defensive side's probably the more difficult side to perfect. So the fact that he's so good at that already kind of shows that there's definitely massive potential there. And I think depending on what happens in the left back situation this summer, obviously Barisic apparently has a really deep Trabzon score. Would love to keep Ridvan Yilmaz with the form he's in, but again, he might want to move away. An offer might come in for him. The hefty deal was supposedly agreed. There's been nothing kind of officially confirmed on that, so we'll see what happens there. But if there is a spot, I would love Rangers to go for a Gailey. Next player on the list is Skaar Op, who's a 24-year-old Norwegian centre mid. Tends to play as a 6 or an 8, 6 foot 2, plays for Tromsø, transfer market having valued at 1.2 million. Looking at some of his key stats, in 20 appearances he has 1 goal and 5 assists, 89% pass accuracy, which is very high. He recycles the ball very well. He's always an option for his teammates. Again, he's the type of, like we have John Lundstrom to keep the ball moving, Opsal's that kind of player for Tromsø. 0.9 key passes per game, and he's got the 5 assists, so it shows he has the ability to create from deep. 67% dribble success and 1.2 successful attempts per game is really high. It shows he can carry the ball forward as much as he likes to sit deep. It shows he can come out with the ball and he's successful in beating his opponents. Alongside the foul 1.8 times per game, he picks up a lot of free kicks kind of when he's driving forward. Opposition seem like they need to foul him to stop him, which again is a very good sign when he's driving from deep. 1.1 interceptions per game and the 1.8 tackles per game show kind of his defensive ability, alongside the 5.2 recoveries show an excellent reading of the game. And then that also goes alongside the 57% ground duels won and just under 5 per game. Regarding Opsal, Anchor said he thought he was one of the most kind of underrated players in the league, just because he doesn't have those kind of standout numbers in goals and assists. I mean, for a deep line midfielder, 5 assists is still very impressive, and he does get that 1 goal, also averaging just under one kind of chance created per game. So he does say he's got brilliant work rate, he's very good defensively, and he thought throughout the season he's been kind of getting better technically and better going forward, so that's a really good sign. He's only 24. A couple of years will be coming into his prime. I think anything under a couple of million would be a really good deal. Again, it just depends on what happens with Ryan Jack and John Lundstrom. I see him genuinely as a perfect replacement for Lundstrom if he decides to go. As much as I love the club to keep him, it probably ultimately falls down to the player and the type of offers he has and how willing he is to stay in Scotland. So if Lundstrom does go, I think Opsal could be a perfect replacement. Next player is probably the most high profile on the list. Emil Graic is a 23-year-old Norwegian midfielder, plays more as an 8 or a 10, kind of likes to sit deep, not as deep as a 6, so he does like to drive forward. So he can play in both positions. 6'1", plays for Molde and transfer market have valued at 3.7 million. He was linked to go to Galatasaray, which is why I say he's probably the most kind of high profile player on the list. Looking at his numbers, 28 appearances, he has 7 goals and 6 assists, like 13 goal contributions for a midfielder in 20 appearances is very impressive. 84% pass accuracy, 59% long ball accuracy, and just under 2 successful attempts per game. Very impressive. Just under 2 key passes per game as well kind of shows the creativity he has, and you can also see that from the 6 assists. 50% dribble success, just under the 1 interception per game. 1.6 tackles and 5 recoveries. Like his defensive numbers are decent. It's not kind of what his game's based around. He's more a box to box midfielder that likes to crash the box and opposition in and get on the end of crosses. 45% ground duels won again is decent at 3.6 per game. Like I say, the defensive numbers are decent, but it's not what his game's really based around. Anchor's words about him just kind of confirm the fact that he's probably the most high profile player on the list. Says he's phenomenal talent on his day who can hit an extremely high level. He's great going forward, enjoys the physical game and has good vision both on and off the ball. So kind of knows where to be, which position is obviously a really big factor in that box to box midfielder. So he's got a brilliant right foot, which is brilliant for shooting and passing, and currently he's one of the biggest talents in Norwegian football. Obviously, Galatasaray have been linked to him, and they like to throw a bit of money around. So I don't know if this one's realistic in terms of the actual value that they'd be looking for him. Transfer market obviously value him under 4 million, but it would all just come down to the price that Molde were looking for. 'Cause for that kind of attacking midfielder that can play deep, I think he's a brilliant option. Again, a really good profile, and someone if we're looking to cover in that position, someone I think we should definitely be looking at. Final player on the list is other Sandefjord player I referred to earlier. So Danilo outside's a 25-year-old Iraqi left winger. He's 5'10" and transfer market value at 1.4 million. So he was a player that kind of saved Sandefjord's season, and he obviously played ahead of Gailey, so they have really good chemistry together, and it's something I think if we could get both, I think it would be brilliant business. Looking at his key stats, in 24 appearances, he had 11 goals and 2 assists, 185 minutes per goal contribution. For a side that were fighting relegation, I'm sure you'll get it's pretty impressive. 16% conversion rate, which is pretty decent for a winger. I think you'd be disappointed if your main striker had that, but in terms of wingers who probably get more shots away, more shots from distance, it's a pretty good number. One key pass per game, 49% dribble success and 3 attempts per game. Again, the 49% might not seem very impressive, but when you consider getting 3 successful attempts per game means he's taking on players at least probably 6 times per game and still successful 49% of the time. So when you actually look at the numbers, it is pretty impressive. 0.9 possessions won in the final third kind of shows the pressing side of his game. He likes to win the ball high up the pitch, put the defenders under pressure. And again, that just coincides with the 1.4 tackles per game, the 3.4 recoveries, culminating in the 45% ground duels won and 4.9 per game. Shows he does a lot of work kind of defending from the front, which is kind of what you need to do when you're Rangers. You always want to be on the ball, you always want to get the ball back as quickly as possible. And it's just been especially kind of seen under Clermont, so I think Saïd could be a very interesting option. The final words for Anchor for the video says also he's an incredible player whose hype and price tag is very much on the rise in Norway. Bodo Glimt considered him as the replacement for their talisman and Malpegrino, but they decided to offer another option instead. Said he's a very agile winger who's hard to stop, loves to cut in from the left and get a shot away with his right foot. Also says he has that striker's intuition to sniff out a goal, so always attacking the back post, always try to get in. Very good poacher, like I said, the 16% conversion rate is actually really high for a winger. So that kind of shows he has that instinct to be in the right place at the right time. Also says he's a good dribbler, like I say, he likes to cut inside, so he's very good at beating his opponents, kind of using body feints to get in his way, and he was a standout player in kind of that struggling Sandefjord side that's also including Gailey. So that was 5 players I think Rangers could sign from the Eliteserien. Again, a massive thank you to Anchor from Norway Football. I'll kind of leave the link in the description so you can check them out. Massively appreciate him helping with the content of this video. Like I said, I'll always look to do that because it's better to get the opinions of experts instead of me just watching some footage and getting numbers. I like to think it adds that legitimacy to the kind of players I'm linking, just to show that they are kind of the quality that could improve Rangers. So, again, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe and have a great day.